Hello, MJ7NLK here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are looking at the President Jimmy 3 CB radio. It's a basic no-thrills compact unit that costs around £69, but it does have a certain charm to it. There are only 4 buttons and 2 dials on this radio with an old school LCD type display, and is the cheapest CB radio in the President lineup currently. This radio would be ideal for road trips, and it's about as easy as it gets to operate. The US version of this radio is the President TED FCC, priced at around $55, and looks to be pretty much the same, apart from not being multi-norm and doesn't have Vox for some reason. Coming up in this video, unboxing and first look, size and price comparison, general operation, power tests, the factory services menu, and we open it up to take a look inside. There is a lot to cover, so please do stick around. Before we dive in, some radio news. The CRT SS9900, which appeared briefly in my QT80 video, is due a refresh, and there are reports of a new model coming in late September. Could this refresh be CRT's version of the QT80, or will they join the party with something new? We'll have to wait and see. The Jopic CB80 is starting to become available for sale in the EU. It's a multi-norm handheld with a large 2600 mAh battery, it's PC programmable and comes in at around £75. There is however no NRC on this handheld and no USB-C charging from what I can see, so the CB514 may be a better choice, and it's only £15 more. Radioddity have sent me a new beta firmware for the GD88, which has increased the digital contacts database from 300,000 to 500,000. I will be testing this over the next few days and trying it out. Before we continue, here is a quick message from my friends and this video's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay are makers of prototype PCBs of all kinds. They also offer services like PCB assembly, CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication and injection moulding. Manufacturing times are exceptionally quick and delivery is super fast. I have used their services on many occasions, and PCBWay get an NLK-Media thumbs up for quality and service. Check out their website pcbway.com for more information or follow the link in the video's description. PCBWay are running a 10th anniversary special event, and you can claim prizes and badges, so it's worth a look. Check that link out in the video description as well. Thank you PCBWay for your support towards this channel. So a quick look round the box. Presidents certainly do put some effort into their boxes. They present very well and have nice shelf appeal. That's a quick look at the box. Let's get it opened up and see what's inside. What do we get at the cheaper end of the President lineup? Nice to see that we still get our #1 CB sticker. I do like getting stickers with my radios. We get the user manual in multiple languages. We have the radio itself. We'll have a look at that in a moment. And an accessories pouch. Looking inside the pouch, we have a spare fuse. That's very nice. A powder-coated or painted bracket. We have the microphone and a very small bag of the nuts and mic clip. And the microphone. Let's have a quick look at this. Oh dear. It is a DNC 520, and it is not the up-down button version. That's a real shame. It would have been nice to have had the slightly bigger DNC 520 with the up-down buttons rather than the cheapest one in the range. However, they are obviously trying to keep the price as low as possible. So that's what you get inside the box. Let's have a look at the radio itself. It is very small. We have nothing on the sides, speaker on the bottom, and we have a nice little heatsink on the back, which I'm not expecting this radio at this price to be very expandable, but nice to see that the temperature or heat is well managed. We have an SO239 connector and a external speaker and a fixed power cable. I do not like fixed power cables. It would be much better if this had some sort of detachable clip or a plug in the back. But again, keeping the price as low as possible. So that's what's inside the box. The Jimmy 3 costs £69. Comparing the Jimmy 3 to the Teddy 2, you can see that the Teddy 2 is a little bit larger, and this comes in at around £90. The Bill 2, on the other hand, is this tiny little thing, and this costs around £115, but you are paying for the micro nature of this radio. Then there is the Radioddity CB500. That's how it compares in size, and out of these 4 radios, I would go for the CB500. Out of the box, this comes with CT-CSS and DCS tones and codes and has the NRC noise reduction circuit. Radioddity usually run different promotions, and you can get $10 off your order if you sign up to their newsletter, which makes the difference between these two radios approximately £10. You can always unsubscribe shortly after. Let's take a look at the key features of this radio, and this will not take long. It's a multi-norm radio supporting the usual regions. In Europe, it's AM/FM 26965 to 27405 MHz, but it does extend to include the UK FM norm. It has a 12-volt power supply only. You can always use the inverter, which is part number CV24/123A, if you want to run this on a 24-volt system. The maximum power drain is less than 2 amps, and it does come with a spare 3 amp fuse. The external speaker jack is 3.5mm. It has automatic squelch control and a very basic scan function, and includes Vox. And that is about it. There is no noise reduction options on this radio, no filters, no Roger beep, that's criminal, no talkback. It's really as bare bones as they come. So let's have a look at the general radio operation. But before we do that, let's do the peel. Now, it's an incredibly simple and easy radio to use. So the first thing we'll do is look at setting norms. So to set the norm, you push and hold the F key and turn the radio on. It will flash the norm, and that's UK. You have EU and the relevant different options. Once you find the norm that you want, and we want U for UK, you simply push and hold the F key, and that will set it. Now, when the radio comes out the box, it has a very annoying key beep. You are able to turn this off. You push and hold the PTT button on the microphone. You push the arrow up key and turn the radio on, keeping them all depressed. That will say B0. Now that's turned key beep on. So it will make this annoying beeping sound. So I'll turn it back off. It'll say BF, which means it's off. So out of the box it will be beeping. I had already turned it off on this radio. To access what's written on the radio, where it says scan, it's a long press of the buttons, and this is telling you to push up and down channel buttons at the same time. And if you long press those, it will activate the scan mode, which it's running through now, which is great. And then you have your Vox and your emergency if you long press these. Now, there is also an option here. If you press the F key and then the mode key, it will say C0, C1 and C2. These are volume settings. C0 affects the internal speaker. C1 affects whatever is plugged into the accessory socket at the back, and C2 affects both the internal and what's plugged into the accessory socket. So you can set that whichever way you wish. You have your automatic squelch control, which is like an on-off switch. So it's in ASC mode at the moment, and then you can turn that off and you can control your squelch yourself if you wish, or leave it in automatic. Then you have your power on off, and it is as simple as that with regards to operating this radio. There is a factory services menu. We'll cover that in a short while, but let's do some standard power tests and see what this radio is outputting out of the box. So let's have a look at doing the standard power tests. I'm in channel 20 midband AM. Let's have a look and see what we get on the carrier. It's about 3.5 watts. Let's do a tone test. That's about 14 watts. Switching to FM. FM we're getting about 3.5 watts, and FM UK approximately 3.6 watts. Modifying a radio is at your own risk. You will have legal obligations in your region with regards to radio transmissions, licensing and power outputs. You should always ensure you are not causing a nuisance and, more importantly, not causing any radio interference or distress to others. Please do not break the law in your region. In order to access the factory services menu, you need to perform some ninja moves. And the ninja moves on this radio are not the easiest to do. You need to push and hold the PTT button. You need to push mode, F and the down arrow at the same time. And you need to keep all three of them pressed, including the PTT, that's 4, and then turn the radio on. Now this has entered the factory services menu. In order to move between options, you simply push the PTT button. So we're in FM at the moment, which will be your deviation setting, and the value is 96. And then if we push the PTT button, we jump to AM, which is modulation, 85. And then SC, have absolutely no idea what this one is. Potentially squelch control in some way, shape or form. Push it again, you get UK 52. I'm not entirely sure what this one is either. And then pushing again, we get TX, which will be your power adjustment. In order to set the value, you simply push the up and down buttons in order to access. And you can see here on the watt meter that 43, if we increase the number, the power is going up. The highest I can go is 4D, and the power value has increased. Pushing it again, I go to U, and then the radio returns to its normal operating mode. I would recommend that you write down your settings. So mine are FM 96, AM 85, SC C.6, UK 52, and TX standard was 43. Write them down, you may need to revert. I would not mess with SC or UK as we don't know what these do. So let's now go back and repeat the power tests and see what difference that's made. Expanded power tests. Channel 20 midband AM, let's do a carrier test. That's about 4.3 watts on the carrier, a tone. That's about 15 watts, just slightly under 15 watts. Let's do FM and see what we get here. That's about 4.1 watts on FM, and FM UK. It's about the same, 4.1 watts. So that's the expanded power tests. So opening the radio up and having a look inside. I have been all over this radio and I am unable to find anything here which would enable some form of expansion. I've also checked the top of the radio or the base of the PCB. There are some test points there, but there is absolutely nothing here to indicate that an expansion may be possible. It's nice when looking inside this radio to see that it has shielding. This is nice to see for such a cheap radio. And this is the final and the heatsink that's obviously attached to it. This radio does not put out enough power to warrant a large heatsink, but it can only be good for the longevity of the radio. But quite impressed when opening this up at the quality of the internals, and some thought has gone into the design and the build of this radio. Right, this is something that I've found out on this radio. On channel 1, so if we just turn it off and turn it back on, you'll see it says U, so it's in multi-norm mode. And that's fine. Channel 1, FM, if we key up, we're on 26965. So that's as expected. Now, if you, and it's quite difficult to do this, if you hold mode F and arrow up and PTT and turn the radio on, it says RU or dash U, whatever that happens to be, and the radio changes. So it's still 26965, dead on the nail. So the frequency hasn't changed, but if I turn the radio off and turn it back on, it will say dash U rather than just U. If I try and go into multi-norm, it won't let me. The only modes I have are AM, FM. There's no FM UK, and I simply cannot get into the multi-norm mode anymore. And it retains this RU symbol. I can get back into the factory services menu. Yeah, so many moves. And these values are exactly the same as before. That is the maximum power value that I can enter. And then it retains this RU. But there doesn't appear to be any frequency change, and there doesn't appear to be any power change. So it's not as if it's T0 stroke T5 where it's dropping 5 kilohertz on the output frequency in this particular mode. So quite strange. Not entirely sure what this mode is, but I can quite comfortably put it back to the mode it was by pushing those buttons, and that will then go back to the multi-norm mode, and I can change norms as usual, which is absolutely fine. And once in standard, channel 1, 26965. So something's going on there, but not entirely sure what it is. Well, what have we learnt? The Jimmy 3 is as basic as they come, and offers a simple no-thrills CB radio experience. It is built well, has good internals, and it's nice to see the internal shielding on a radio at this price point. The engineers at President have clearly put some time and thought into its design. The heat it generates is managed well, which should make this a very reliable and long-lasting radio. Would it be my choice? No. The Radioddity CB500 is only a few pounds more, and it trumps it in every single way. I see this radio being used by businesses that need a basic communications device in vehicles which anyone can operate. If that isn't your use case, then there are better options available. And I would recommend that you check out the President Teddy 2 or the Radioddity CB500. If you have found any hidden options or functions whilst using this radio, then please do let me know. And if you have the official service manual, then I'd be very interested in receiving a copy. I hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you did, then please help the channel out by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. This really does help to ensure that I can continue to provide content. Please feel free to buy me a coffee, details in the description below, and thank you, Jow, very much appreciated. If you have any questions or comments, then you know what to do in the comments section. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. Trolls and nasty know-it-alls need not apply. Well, until next time, stay happy, stay safe, and catch you in the next one.